Hey girl, all right, hello Thrift Boss babes. It's Sammy here with Adriana. She is our Thrift Boss babe member who has agreed to be interviewed by me, just sharing her resale journey and in particular how she has leveraged her designer resale business, which is with ThredUP as well as Poshmark, as well as probably some other sources that she'll share with us tonight, and how she has leveraged that to at only the age of 27, I had to actually confirm with Adriana today how old she was because I was like, are you 29, 28, or 27? I forget. She's only 27. She's a single mom. Her son is adorable. And she has purchased 2 houses, one of which she's already flipped for profit, and she's working on her second home. So she is a true reseller, guys. She's going above and beyond what we know, which is just clothes, which not to make it sound like just clothes, but there's just this whole big world of essentially creating an investment and creating value so that it's more valuable to someone else. So Adriana has such a great business mindset. So I want you guys to really listen to everything that she has to say. We're going over the basics in this interview. We were just chatting about this because we could talk for 3 hours to you guys, and I want to keep this to 45 minutes. So if you have a particular specific question, comment and tag her and she will get back to you as soon as she can, but obviously within reason. So Adriana, thank you so much for being here, first of all.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to first ask you, and I don't even know the answer to this question, how did you get started in resale?
I actually worked in retail for 6 years. I was actually on the markdown team for Marshalls.
What?
Yeah, so my boss used to have me mark down everything to like $1, $3, $4, and I would learn designer brands, really popular brands, and I would get shoes for like $1, and I was like, what do I do with all these shoes? And one of my girlfriends was like, hey, Poshmark, you can, sell those shoes online, and, who doesn't need to pay to get through college?
Yes.
So that's actually how I started, was retail arbitrage, working in retail and seeing the firsthand markdowns to be able to flip them.
It's amazing. And I think what's so amazing too, and guys, we're going to talk more about this word retail arbitrage, which has a lot of definitions, but I would say it's when you go into a retail store, not just a thrift store, not really a thrift store at all, really a retail store, and you buy things at low markdown. Sometimes you buy multiples of said thing. So for example, something at Target that there's like 10 things marked down, and then you sell it on a secondhand platform, and people don't have access to those sales wherever they live, or they want that item because it's gone or whatever. And even though it was on sale where you are, they're going to buy it from you for a lot more. Is that how you would define it? Or do you
I would agree 100%.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Okay, cool. So you started at Marshalls, which was my favorite store growing up.
Mine too. It still is my favorite.
Now I'm really fast forwarding because I want you guys to get the whole picture of who Adriana is as a boss babe. And we're going to talk more about your relationship to resale at length, but I want to mention the huge fact that I already did, but I want to mention the fact that you flipped a home already. So how did you begin the journey of house flipping?
I actually work in the banking industry and have a lot of friends who were actually becoming realtors and becoming interested in real estate. So we used to always be curious together, go to different like exhibits where people would speak to you, tell you about like how to purchase a home, first time home buyers. And then I started looking into basically foreclosed properties. And I was like, you know what, I can do this. And I actually had the intention of buying the house to live in. So I've made the house into this beautiful palace and realized I didn't want to live there. I wanted to flip it. And, it actually worked out really well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you bought your first house at 25?
I actually put the offer in when I was 23.
Okay.
It took about almost a year and a half for me to close on it.
Okay.
Because it was in the middle of going into a foreclosure. It's called a short sale.
Right.
So it was almost at a foreclosure and it was part of an estate. So there was a lot of complications, and I got it for an extremely low price that they agreed upon, and then they had to negotiate with the bank based on how much they owed.
Right.
So it was a very, very long process, but me waiting it out was probably the best decision.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And I feel like in terms of real estate, there's so many buzzwords we don't know. As resellers, we're like, oh yeah, new tags, NWC, like it's the same thing, like short sale. Like, what the heck is a short sale? Do you want to flip more homes in the future? I mean, I know you're working on one right now.
I am actually working on one right now. I do intend on living in it for like a short period of time. It's actually on the street that I grew up on as a little girl. It's across the street from the house I lived in. Yeah, so it has a place in my heart. So I really love this house. But I actually am currently looking into, we call them land bank properties, which are owned by the county.
Yeah.
It's basically foreclosed properties, but they're like $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. So I'm currently looking into one. The only thing is that you have to gut the whole thing and redo it from, ground up. So
yeah,
you have to have a lot of money, and that's what I'm working on is, flipping. We'll jump to that later.
Yeah.
Flipping clothes and shoes to make money.
Yeah, to help you with those bigger ticket items, which again, this is Adriana's mindset, which even myself, it's hard to wrap my mind around because I'm like, oh my God, that sounds so scary and frightening. But for a lot of you, you were scared and frightened just to list on Poshmark for the first time. So everything takes time. And so obviously you've been at it for 4 years. Now I understand a little bit more. So you're stepping more toward what you want to do ultimately, which is bigger sales.
Yes, it takes a lot of money. So
yeah,
you need to have a lot of money to make a lot of money.
Yes. Well, back to resale and your type of resale. So, okay. I feel like that the answer to this question is so obvious, and we all know, but a lot of us resist it. I know for myself, like I love vintage. I'm in love with vintage. But unless you're selling designer vintage, you can't make a lot of money. And even designer vintage is really about the person and their relationship to the item and less about just the social, how do I put this, perspective, which I know it's all made up, but that's the value. Ultimately, that's the value. Like why are homes on rivers more valuable or on the beach more valuable? You know what I mean? It's all our perspective. So
yeah,
for me, designer, like for many years was like, and now I'm more engaged with it. It's taken some time. So why did you choose designer resale? And can you talk us through even just like your profit margins and what that looks like?
Definitely. The reason why I actually have moved on to designer resale, because I used to love vintage. I used to love just like basic average brands based on how cute they were and how stylish they were and, what the current trend is. And I realized I was making like $10 profit, $20 profit on these items. And yes, that's great if you're selling a large amount of those items. But I realized that designer items have higher profit margins. So rather than selling 20 shirts, you sell one bag.
Yeah.
So I've come to realize, being a single mother,
sorry. If you guys are watching at this point, my boyfriend walked in and totally scared me.
And me too.
It's not live. We're pre-recording. Come, sit down. Okay, we're talking about profit margins.
Right. So I realized like selling one bag is way more beneficial, and being a single mom. And I was actually in college. I've been going to take classes. Like I have one more class to like graduate, but I keep taking classes every other semester. So I was in school, being a mom and working full time. And I realized, I realized that my time is like the most valuable asset that I have. And rather wasting time to photograph measure and list,
Mm-hmm.
like sending it away to ThredUP, they do every single thing for you. And designer items, you know, one item pays for the cost and time and energy of reselling these lower end items.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really about time being my asset, and time is money to me.
Mm-hmm.
So bigger profits is huge. It's humongous. And I realized that the hard way.
Totally. You know, and I think, or I know rather, we were just having this conversation in our Instagram Success Pod where this wonderful reseller, I'd love to actually interview her, but she said that her profit margin on average is about $20 to $25. Yeah, and she sells a lot. She's constantly thrifting. She's constantly listing. I saw her make a post 2 days ago. She's a mom as well. She comes from poverty, like amazing story. And her post was talking about like continuing to swim. Like it was such a stressed post. And I'm like, you're so talented. Like you need to change your business model because you can't keep up with this, you know, because she has to buy so much based on what she's selling. So she's constantly outputting money, right?
Exactly.
To keep up. So tell us a little bit about how you transition. Like, have you taught yourself about designers and like what's that education been like for you?
So I actually learned, being someone who likes nice stuff.
Yeah.
I personally have always, like, I call Vogue the Bible.
Yeah.
So as a little girl, as a young adult, teenager, I loved Vogue, Bazaar. I'm like a 60-year-old in a 27-year-old's body.
Mm-hmm.
I love really high-end, classy items. I wanted to be Princess Diana, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I would study it based on magazines, and then next thing you know it, as I'm shopping for myself on like Nordstrom, you know, online, like Nordstrom Rack online, Saks, you learn about the brands as you're already looking for things on sale for yourself. So I was like, oh, wow, what's this brand? So then I'd start finding the brand at thrift shops and be like, oh my goodness, I recognize this brand. And then having it in an actual form of a list. Remember I mentioned how, you know, ThredUP provides you an actual list of the designers they take.
Yeah.
You begin to study that list. And while you're shopping online, you familiarize yourself with these items and what they look like, what the brand tag looks like, so that when you go to the thrift store, it pops at you and you're very much aware of it. Mm-hmm. But you also check comps, like on any website. What is this brand selling for? Is it worth it? Should I look into it further? You know, so when you go to the store, you're looking online to find these items on sale. Is it worth your time? Yeah. Has it sold in the past? What is the value of it currently? It may have been valuable at one time and then not so much. At one point, the Real wasn't taking St. John because they said the demand was not there.
Now it is.
Now it is. I recently actually got an email from one of the representatives that I would, you know, sell with. And he was like, St. John is back. St. John is being accepted. And that just like rung bells in my mind. Yeah. And now I go after St. John even more. I've sold one blazer on Poshmark, St. John, for $800. Wow.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah. So like $800. And then I send like random blazers that I'd get for $1 to ThredUP. Easily 200. Anytime I see St. John, I look at a blazer and I say I can get 200 for that immediately.
Wow.
So studying.
Okay. So now that we've, like, I think if you're watching this, you're like watering at the mouth. Like, what? Okay, explain. And this is, well, I should back up, but like, if you're watching this video a few months in the future, you may not have been involved in some of the discussion that we've had about ThredUP because of Adriana, I've launched into ThredUP, having a similar life that she does. I'm very busy. I'm building this community, building my tour business. I'm a reseller, but I want to make more money. I want to be smarter. I want to figure out a formula that can help you guys as well. So I've been talking a lot about ThredUP in my experience, but I'm still learning. Now, Adriana, tell us exactly how you use ThredUP and like the amount that you send per week. And then I also want to hear how you go to, Neiman Marcus, Saks Off Fifth, order online, and literally purchase things new at discount and send to ThredUP. Like, I want to hear the whole.
Okay. So I feel as though, like, our time is our asset. I will send as much as I possibly can in a huge box. If you've seen my Instagram, you'll see those boxes. So about like 100 items per box. I'll send out 4 boxes every Saturday.
Every Saturday?
Every Saturday on the dot. Every Saturday morning, I roll them out the front door. Roll them.
They're so heavy. They're heavy.
It's awful. I couldn't even.
I had to take a taxi to the post office in Lang. I couldn't carry it.
Yeah, it's awful.
$6. $6 away. Take a taxi.
Like, I can't even like imagine taking that anywhere. Like, thank goodness for our postal man. I gave him $200 for Christmas. Like, I torture him. I feel bad. I was like, I'm surprised you haven't quit yet. He's like, he'll knock on the door and he'll be like, do you have anything for me? And I'm like, nope, it's your day off. Not today. Yeah, so 100 items in each box. In each 4 boxes. So that's about 400 items.
Every Saturday?
Every Saturday. Yeah. Okay. 400 items every single Saturday. Okay. So I have I have like 3 main ways to gain inventory. Inventory meaning sending it away. My number one, I'm going to give out some secrets. Okay. I won't give out my best friend, but I got some great secrets. So the real, I will never sell to them. I will buy tons from them. It's incredible. Like, they'll have like Alice and Olivia, Diane von Furstenberg, like current year designers, 20, 30, 15, Dolce & Gabbana, Gucci, Prada, all for those prices. So I usually keep it about under $30 each item. Okay. So that will be for like the real. Throw it in the box. It usually takes about 2 to 3 days to arrive to your house once you purchase it. So it's a really fast situation. Then I source every single day on Poshmark. I have about 500 items listed on Poshmark currently for sale. I actually cut that in half. It was almost like 1,000 before, and I had like a moving sale and cleared out a ton of my inventory. Mm-hmm. So I actually have a personal assistant, a virtual assistant, who takes care of the selling portion mm-hmm. of my Poshmark account, so I don't have to touch anything.
Yeah, very smart. Mm-hmm.
And they're amazing. It's Reseller Assistant if anyone's ever interested.
Yep.
Nothing but great, conversation there, raves about them. So they take care of the selling portion. So all day I am searching on Poshmark for designer deals. Every day, all day. Even if it's like 5 times an hour, checking like the certain brands that I know, no matter what, I will make 3 times the amount that I'll pay.
So you have a running list in your head that you know.
And it's also saved on my search bar with Poshmark. So I just click, and then always click just listed, like new. Mm-hmm. All sizes just listed. So I have like about 10 brands I currently search for nonstop.
It's amazing.
And then, of course, we have Nordstrom Rack is kind of my go-to, only because it's literally in the local mall here. So I don't have to travel very far. I usually go there on the weekends. So that's a Sunday experience, Sundays. Mm-hmm. So Sunday I'll go and I'll search their clearance. And if anyone's familiar with Nordstrom Rack, they do Clear the Rack, which is 20% off clearance. It's pretty much every holiday. They kind of gave me a schedule to that point. So I'm really familiar with that. And then I can also tell when they're going to be marked down, when it is marked down. And then I'll buy from there. They have, a 45-day return policy? Yeah. So I'll buy it from there, send it away. If it doesn't sell, and say, for instance, I don't want to send it back after I've claimed it, I'll return it. Like if it was like more of a bigger investment, I'll return it. I've done that with Prada shoes before. I spent almost like $250 at Nordstrom Rack. Didn't get what I wanted for them. So I just returned them right back. Now with ThredUP, if it doesn't sell after 90 days, you can reclaim it all for $5.99.
Mm-hmm.
So you're only paying shipping once to get that back. I send them right back to them. Constantly send it back. And then if I've sent those boxes with those 100 items and say 20 out of 100 weren't accepted, they'll send those back to you for free because you're using Luxe.
Right.
I'll send them right back every single time. I never hold on to anything. You don't take it, I'm going to send it right back to you. And 90% of the time, they will take it. 90% of the time. One time I actually sent the same Christian Dior bag 6 times. They finally took it. Yep. They finally took it. All it took was some fresh new eyes to say, oh, let's accept this. They have someone new processing bags every single time. So many employees. So my biggest thing is like, don't get discouraged with that. Yeah.
Crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. I had a really good experience with my last bag, but it wasn't 100. It was 18. I had everything but one accepted. Yeah.
That's really good.
And the way that I've figured it out is, again, like I'm looking to see what's selling for the most amount of money. So when I'm in the thrift store, because I've been experimenting, guys, by like actually thrifting to send to ThredUP, and now I'm gonna start to do what Adriana's doing, which is buying new and sending it to ThredUP. But when you're thrifting, it's like you're gonna find really cool stuff, but like it's not worth your time to make $4. And I don't think it's worth their time either. So I think of it from that perspective. But like I found Oscar de la Renta pants. They have them listed for $90. I bought them for $10. I'm gonna make $70. The profit is $60. Bam. So yeah, I look for, like, I go on the app and I check the brand and I see on average what is it selling for. And then I've noticed like, okay, like new tags obviously always sells better. But yeah, you really have to research your brand. Like you can't just be like, oh, J. Crew. Like it might not be worth your time at all.
No, that's the problem. Like certain, low-end brands, like they're adorable, they're cute. And if you want the time and patience to photograph and list that on your own personal page, I mean, once again, time. But that's great. Go ahead. But if you send that to ThredUP, you're going to get like 20 cents or something so minute. Like it's awful for like lower end items, how much they pay out. It's actually really sad.
It's really low. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, really bad.
Yeah, I did. I sold, and again, it's kind of like, I think to myself, I'm like, okay, like I bought these horse pants, these Ralph Lauren horse pants. They're freaking awesome. I know I could have sold those to the right person for like $55. They sold them for $20.
Oh, wow.
So, but I know like from like a vintage perspective, I'm like, these are bomb. So that was a mistake I made. So back to you though, Adriana, because you've been doing this. Actually, how long have you been doing ThredUP?
About 2 years.
Wow. Okay. So what are some, it sounds like you've done really well. It sounds like you're hitting home runs, but what are some mistakes you've made?
Oh, I've made a lot of mistakes. Okay. Horrible mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay. The number one mistake, if you are going to sell to ThredUP, you have a certain window. I believe it's like after like 12 hours of them processing it for you to adjust the price.
Yeah.
I could not adjust the price to a few items. It would not let me. And I messaged them and it took them 3 days to respond. I had these Stuart Weitzman like boots that I purchased brand new from Nordstrom and they sold for $12.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was a huge loss. And I don't know if it was like my app glitching or me not doing it right. It was awful. Like, so that was a huge loss. I could have probably made about $200 on them. I sold them for $12. And there's no going back from that. They sold during the bidding process. Right. So my big thing is like, you need to watch it. You need to really watch everything and adjust things and, watch that bidding process to make sure that you've had the price that you want. because once the bidding's over, like they can't even return it. So it's a really good way to sell your items. Also, when I was first starting to do ThredUp, like I had sent my old inventory, like that I was selling on Poshmark, to them. And this is when they first did like upfront payouts.
Yeah.
Like $1. Like, yeah, it was really heartbreaking because they're brands. Well, I didn't know then. Like, there were brands that you'd think, oh my gosh, these are great, you know, brands. And no, they weren't in their eyes. So you've got to really take a look at their payout scale, like the percentages based on what it's listed for, whether it's Luxe or regular. Mm-hmm. So you have to pay attention to that if it's like even worth it. But you're thinking, you know, this is a great brand and I'm going to make some money, but no, you end up taking a loss. Mm-hmm. I actually used to pay up for certain brands in our area. It's a little more expensive. Mm-hmm. And then I'd end up taking a loss. Mm-hmm. But we learn.
Tell us about like when something sold on Poshmark, but it was at ThredUp.
It happens at least once every 2 weeks. No. All the time. Especially in my process that I'm currently in right now. I have like been moving inventory from, like, I actually had to move all the contents from my house that I sold to my mother's house. It says moving contents from my mother's house to my house. And I was like, oh my goodness, maybe it's just there. No, I sent it to ThredUp. And I checked ThredUp because I have so many items there. Yeah. So it's usually the high-end items that sell. And I have no problem with that. I'll pay $12 expedited shipping. Wow. And it comes to me in 2 days, and then I send it to Poshmark. It was recently that I actually sold a Gucci bag on Poshmark. Yeah. For like $800. And I went to go on ThredUp and, you know, reclaim it. I was like, oh my gosh, I sold it on ThredUp for like $1,000. So I had to message, you know, the girl on Poshmark, like, I'm so sorry. You know, I had to cancel the sale. It was kind of heartbreaking, but I actually sold it for $200 more on ThredUp. So I was like, all right. It's okay. The girl was really understanding. She was very nice. I was like, I'm so sorry. I don't have the bag anymore. So it's very important to be able to manage what is where. I mean, I don't mind having inventory listed on Poshmark and, you know, sent to ThredUp because Poshmark isn't the fastest way to sell. No. It's really not. It's quite slow.
I learned
this is why I'm doing ThredUp. ThredUp things will literally sell so fast because they have such a more broad audience, like a bigger audience, and they do their own marketing. You don't do your own, you don't market yourself necessarily unless you're sharing your closet consistently. They just have a huge audience. People can just go on the internet and search on ThredUp and find something that they want rather than creating an account on Poshmark and doing so many different things. It's harder to find things on Poshmark, you know?
True. There's some friction there.
Yeah.
I think what's most fascinating is that, well, here, I'm going to back up. I do like the idea of like, if you're able to manage both Poshmark and ThredUp and having that, you know, kind of blended world of your items and then just paying $12. And again, this only makes sense if it's a high-end item, guys.
Yes.
$12 could really cut your profits like completely. But what I see with ThredUp that's most important is that things do sell for more. And I think that that's the key to it. That, you know, even myself, like on Poshmark, I had all these designer items. The truth is I'm not the best photographer. I could become much better. But again, it's a time thing. So yeah, I could get maybe like another $75 if all my photography was better. But people were making offers. And I kind of had to, and I was like pricing it a little bit higher to get the offers, and I was lowering it because I wanted it to move. And, you know, it was like people on Posh are kind of looking for a discount. They're looking for a deal versus I think ThredUp, there's a little bit more of like this is already a deal mentality.
Exactly.
Sort of what I'm getting. So it sounds like you have a combination of online and in-person shopping to source your inventory. What's the percentage of both? Is it 50-50?
I'd say 80% online.
Yeah, because of your time.
Yeah, it's so much easier. I actually do it at work. Like if I'm just sitting there, it's a slow day. I'll do it there. I'll do it at home. I do it once my son falls asleep. So it's so easy and faster. The simple fact that it comes to your door, I take it out of the box and put it in another
Right.
box. We'll inspect it first and then put it in another box.
Wow.
It's it's just incredible. It's so much easier. You get so much more. Like on Poshmark, someone sells an Escada blazer for $20. I sell it on ThredUp for about 200, 150. And there's such a demand on ThredUp for like higher end items. That's why they're really focusing on Luxe right now. The demand is extremely high.
And it's just, I wonder why the Real doesn't sell things for as much.
It's actually very upsetting from a person who has consigned with them. I
Yeah.
will never consign with them again. They will consistently mark down your item
Yeah.
and you will get like maybe $10, like very, very small amount of money. And they will consistently mark it down. And that low 70% markdown price, you're going to get like a teeny tiny percentage of that.
Right.
So it's great if you're buying, but
It's
yeah,
great.
the real is extremely low.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. This is just, it's so eye-opening. I want you guys, and I'm pretty much through all of my questions because again, we could go into so many little nuances. I know that Adriana will answer any specific little questions you have. I think the most important thing that she and I have spoken about is that you have to be willing to take some risks to really do what she's doing. I don't know if 400 items is really what you're looking to do every week. I know I'm not, but like I am giving myself a $500 budget to try it this week. I have really good credit, so I can take a chance with like a 0% APR credit card. If you have some way of giving yourself a budget where you're like, if I just make this money back, it's okay, and you want to give yourself the education as your coach, I'd say that's where you should start. Even if that's using a 0% credit card, which is the least, it's the least risk because you don't have to pay that money back right away and you won't, get interest on it and all the things. But it is this mentality, it's this business mindset that she's learning or that she's already learned that is like the more risk, the more reward. And how have you, I guess just to end this interview before I ask if there's anything else that you would want to share, like how do you feel that you've changed in that perspective? Like, do you really feel like, I'm assuming, but you're more comfortable with risk?
I can spend $800 today on a purse.
Yeah.
With no concern at all.
Amazing. That's
none whatsoever.
So hard for me.
So $800, $700, $500, and I will not be worried at all at this point because I know I showed you a purse today.
Yeah,
I know what I'm capable of. So it took a lot of practice and it's a lot of risk, but as long as you study or based on experience, you can do it. You'll be so much more comfortable.
Yeah.
But you have to have the resources to do so.
Yeah.
So like you said, those 0% interest cards are like the best.
Yeah. We were just chatting because I've held up to $13,000 on my 0% APR credit cards because of one reason or the other. Then I launched an Airbnb, the property manager business that helped pay off all of that. So it's like I've seen it go like this and then like washed away. But you have to be comfortable holding on to debt I would say to do any business. Like myself right now, I'm holding on to some debt because my business has been low. So I actually had to put my rent on a credit card the last 2 months. So my rent was put on a credit card. You heard it here first. But I know that once I start renting my apartment out privately in June, I can catch up. So that's where I'm comfortable with that. I'm like, it's fine. My credit score fell a little bit, but it's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. So you guys, it's like, again, you've all come from zero in some way. And I've seen some of you completely just blow yourselves out of the water. Like your confidence is so high. But what Adriana has created is definitely like a different sort of mindset. She's really anchored in this beingness that for you, you're going to want to take small steps toward, but it is possible. And it's the mindset of understanding that you have to invest to get money in return. Like at the end of the day, like you can't do this off the thrift store. Like it just won't work. But you can give yourself a budget and start to play. And who knows, you might turn $300 into 900, and it didn't take you 3 months to do it. Which is the typical, Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you would want to add, Adriana?
I feel like we've got a lot covered.
We really did. We really did. And I just want to also emphasize one more time that Adriana's 27 and she has a son, and she's a single parent for the most part. And like, you can do this. And even if you don't want to do retail arbitrage, just use her story and really anyone else's story, because I follow a lot of resellers now and I'm really encouraged by it. Because I'm seeing more and more what's possible. So anyway, I believe in you guys. Adriana, you are incredible. I'm so excited to start my ThredUP journey. My ThredUP journey. And if you guys have any questions, please comment below, tag Adriana, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.